If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch. Yeah.
Buy merch indeed, and shall lead them.
Buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener.
DJ Mojo in the house with an entire Savatage or Savatage stream. We have done the first 7 songs so far on the album tonight. Song number 8 on the album is called St. Patrick's, which we have actually already reacted to. So if you're interested in hearing that breakdown, just look in our repertoire and you'll find that one. I'll put
it up here if I can, once we coordinate the thingamajiggy.
If it's not there, just look up St. Patrick in our thing. Savatage, and you shall find it.
Hector in the house.
What's up, Hector? So the next song on our stream tonight is going to be, Can You Hear Me Now? St. Patrick's was about a prayer. It was a prayer to God.
Yeah, and just for everybody because these things get chopped up and released as singles as well. Right now on the album, there's a guy that we're following. His name is DT Jesus, whether Downtown Jesus or Detox Jesus. He started as a drug dealer. He became a rock star, became a drug addict, fell off as a rock star, then basically got his shit together, got back in the band. They started touring again. He was kicking ass. And some people from his old lifestyle when he was an addict came and wanted to collect their money. And he's like, fuck you, I'm not giving you your money. He owed the guy $30,000 plus interest. They get into a tussle. His friend Tech shows up to help him in the fight. The bad guy goes and knifes his friend and he dies. His friend dies over this scuffle. The next song is basically a prayer to God. And then this song is called Can You Hear Me Now? So that's where we are. Let's check it from there, dear listener. Can you hear me now?
Last song of the night. Enjoy it, folks.
Savatage. Let's go. I'll be the judge of that, Mr. Omar.
We.
If I close my eyes, would it all subside to an echo in the night of a distant fading light? Then a stranger silhouette, a burning cigarette, and somewhere in the haze, passage to the maze. Can you hear me now? Are there just too many doors between then and now? Need ever reach on through, pull you back somehow. That don't happen anymore. walked the stage as the music played. They knew every word, but they never heard. For they never changed. It's all very strange as I'm standing here contemplating years. Can you hear me now? Are there just too many doors between then and now? The need ever reach on through, pull you back somehow. Well, that don't happen anymore. Still in the night, I swear I hear you calling. Can you hear me now? Are there just too many doors between then and now? For me to ever reach on through and pull you back somehow. But that don't happen anymore. Still in the night, I think I hear you calling.
Oh man.
Just gotta hear that bridge again, like the intro to that. That's
I
hard as
swear
fuck.
I
Right here,
hear
right
you
here, right here.
calling.
And then that synth is accented. I don't know if that's a synth or a pedal or what. And then the solo. And then the background guitar is melodic in itself. Here. These guys. There's not a lot of modern bands that could put together a bridge like
no,
that.
no.
Like to this day, nobody's fucking with that bridge, bro. That shit, that right there. The closest I've come to feeling that way about a bridge is like stuff that Dime used to do. Because like Dime's attitude as a guitarist would just come out in the riffs that he was playing. Like this guy, I've been focusing more on the vocalist because the vocalist is so intriguing to me right now because of how he kind of phases in and out of styles in the same verse.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, he's got like this very grimy, guttery, like gutter, not guttural, but gutter, just just sounds like a grimy street person who could sing. You know what I'm saying? But then, and then like 2 seconds later, 2 bars later in the song, it's completely clean and smooth. And like, that's what I mean about like owning it and humanizing it and like, you can stay in the same key, but you do a whole bunch of things differently in the same key, right? Like vocally, and that humanizes your. So I've been focusing a lot on him, which rightly so, because he's a ridiculous talent. But that guitar right there was kind of like that middle was like he was like, you know what? I'm gonna just show people. Let me just show you guys real quick what it's about.
Sit back.
Rest in peace to the homie. That sucks that he died so early.
Yeah. Mojo has something he wants us to read on this one. So he said, the next track up would actually be St. Patrick's, which we talked about before. But you've listened to this song back in December, which is when I decided I was going to submit this entire album for a reaction. So what's happened after Tex was killed is DT has fled the club and ends up running until he finds himself outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral in downtown Manhattan. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
A door has mistakenly been left open at this late hour, and DT walks in and prays, searching for answers to what has happened and to assuage the guilt he feels over the death of his friend. He gets no answers from God. He leaves the church and ventures out into the streets to find his answers there, with the temptation to return to his own life lurking just over his shoulder.
Wow.
Also, this is a song that even though it was written before Chris Olivia was killed, every time I hear it, I can't help but feel that John is singing it to his brother.
100%.
Which totally.
100%.
There was some of the thing when he was saying, "Still in the night, I think I hear you calling," like that part. I was like, "Oh man, okay, yeah." You could kind of feel it there.
That to me, you know, people talk about like the problem of evil, the problem of suffering, and like the starving mother in Africa thing. Like I've reconciled that to myself. Like I've got it pretty. But I'll tell you. People who have to struggle to get somewhere, like achieving rock stardom, is extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. All those nights, you know, sleeping in the van out in the cold or whatever it is that they had to do to get to that point and then die because somebody went into the wrong lane and now this guy's just gone like that after they've grinded so hard to achieve their dream. It's really frustrating. This is like their second record. He died like two or 3 years after this record came out. So like he didn't really get to see how big the band was gonna become.
You know, this is so freaking crazy.
I have serious problems with those situations. And there are some situations where it's like, yo, that person was supposed to die, bro. Like with Vaughn. Like there were so many things that should not have happened that night.
Yeah.
That happened. And it's like, yo, obviously, that was your time to go. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, I mean, did we say that he struggled with his own bouts of alcoholism and different stuff like that?
The guitarist?
The,
or
Olivia.
I don't know.
Chris Lee. Well, it's just crazy because, like, okay, so he's driving. It's 3:30 a.m. and him and his wife are traveling, and then an oncoming car operated by a drunk driver crossed the median and struck Olivia's car head on. She survived the crash, but he was killed instantly. The drunk driver, who had 7 prior drunk driving DUI convictions, survived with minor injuries and was later found guilty of DUI manslaughter, DUI serious injury, and vehicular homicide, and served 18 months in prison and a 5-year sentence.
Yeah.
18 months? He took this guy's entire life away.
I know.
Whole family.
But again, it's like,
I just think
she lived. He lived, minor injuries, he's killed instantly.
I know.
And it's like, I'm not saying that God should be like, well, he's a rock star, he should survive. But this guy, you're drunk. You're on your 7 DUI.
That's the thing.
Fucking kill that guy and like let him die. Like we'll feel bad for him, but everybody will kind of say the same thing at the funeral, right?
Yeah.
We'll all say the same thing at the funeral. But why this guy?
See, this is what I'm saying. Like somebody gets caught with like a friggin' ounce of weed,
Right.
and they're thrown into jail and barely able to get it. It's just. But then here's this drunk driver. The first time that you're drinking and driving, I think you should automatically go to jail for a year. Automatically. Like, there's no wiggle room for that. If you get caught again, you should go for 3 years or 5 years. Like, I think that it should be so fucking heavy what happens to people when they're drinking and driving. Like, there was a bunch of people at my house, and there was a birthday party that had taken place. The guy friggin' got lost because he shouldn't have passed my house if he was leaving where he said he was leaving.
Yeah.
He had teenagers in the vehicle with him. He wrecked that car. We had another drunk driver come down my street, smacked into my car with his truck, completely destroyed. If anybody would have been out there, they would have been killed instantly. And here you have, I mean, it worked out for me. I was able to get a nice car, you know. The insurance really worked out for me.
I remember that night. I remember because the car was completely flipped, and I remember because we were at a prayer meeting that day. Now I remember running out there and talking to Jesus, like, okay, like I'm ready. I'm ready to see these bodies, but
I wasn't. I stayed at the house. I said,
I know,
I'm not
you
going
stayed
out
inside.
there. I am not going out there to see that.
I was like, it's like you got to give me help to see these bodies, but I got to go in there to make. I mean, because somebody could still be alive in there.
If you and homegirl hadn't ran over there, then I would have. You and 2 girls ran over there. I said maybe like there might have been a couple guys that ran over there too.
Yeah,
I just knew that you and the other one with the medical background, you 2 ran over there, and so I said there's no reason for me to go over there.
I just remember talking
what am
to
I
God
gonna
and
do?
being like, all right, and everybody was alive.
Not even her fingernails were scratched.
Yeah, she had that little, what was it, like a panda bear or some shit like that?
They were white. I remember them being white. She probably had a panda bear on one. But
Well, it was funny because the guy, the kid's father, the teenager's father, jumped out of the second car and was about to destroy that guy.
I don't even understand. Did he not know the guy was drunk when they got in the car?
I don't know. He didn't really seem all there himself, really, but he was about to murder that guy. And so
He used the guy's shirt.
I jammed him. I took him by his shirt. And I was like, yo, Kyle, get this fucking guy out of here. Kyle's just sitting there like, that fucking move the guy over here. I had my back turned to the guy and everything. I was like, oh my God. But I couldn't let him just murder this guy.
Yeah,
You know what
but
I'm
you
saying?
used
Like-
somebody else's shirt as like a shield to block their line of sight.
I did. I said, don't even look at him. Stop looking at him. Don't say anything. Stop looking at him. The
Some of the ways
jammed
you
up.
improvise is so friggin' funny. Because I would never like use a shirt on somebody else's body to. It was so
worked.
funny. It did.
It accomplished my
It
purposes.
did.
But okay, so he did. The one that died wasn't even the one with the substance abuse issue. It was his brother, which obviously exponentially
that makes
increases
it
it after you lose your brother to a drunk driver. It's just fucking horrible situation. And those are the issues that I have with God. Like it's the ironic things. Like, why is he the only one that died when this guy was a 7-time DUI guy? What the fuck? Or why not let Vaughn just die in the streets? Why let him get off for all these murders? He got off for all these murders he committed, and then he gets killed on something completely unrelated to all the other shit that he was doing. Like, why even let the guy get famous? Just get like I don't know. But this is hard.
Yeah, but I've thought of that a lot of times, and the only thing that I can come to is that there's no way for God to directly go after everything like that. That, like, let's, how we always say, well, we decide what's wrong based off of what we don't have issues with or what we do have issues with. But I was thinking, if God went after everything that, like, the serious crimes that people did and punished those, then people would not act naturally from what they would act out of fear. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get in trouble for it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it would alter everything. And it's always been about what's going on inside somebody's heart.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just not very satisfying.
Well,
Because
I don't think that there's a satisfying answer. I'm just saying I think that that's part of it.
yeah, man, I'm sure there's a reason, and it doesn't shake my faith in God as far as like, but it is to me an untied shoelace where I'm like, I understand the lady in Africa. I understand 9/11. It's situations where you've got 7 DUIs, and then you've got this guy that worked his ass off to get to where he is, and then in the altercation, he's the only one that dies, and then the guy that's a scumbag. I'm sorry, but he's not a scumbag because you killed a famous person. You're scum. You've got 7 fucking DUIs, and why is he still alive? Which I feel terrible saying that also. Mm-hmm. Like, who are you to say that this guy should die? Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, well, if somebody had to die that day, make it that fucking guy, not this guy who's making all this amazing music. What the hell? But, you know, God has his own purposes, and I'm sure when it's all over, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But right now, I hate when shit like that happens. I can't stand it. Yeah. I can't, and I have no problem saying that as a Christian. Everybody knows where we're at with it. But I hate ironic shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you.
That's the shit that just like makes me so angry. But anyway.
So, but this song isn't even about that because this came out before that situation even happened. So, he's talking about this is after he left the church, didn't get any answers from God, and now he's back out on the streets.
Right.
And he has his old life calling him back. Because, and I think that's a big thing that a lot of us, I think, can relate to. Like, the more times that you, like, fuck up, or the bigger the fuck ups, the more it makes you want to just be like, oh, you know what, forget it. And it happens with, you know, like, you hear people that, like, I remember, I came up in the dieting age. Like, I don't even know if people still rave about that. But, like, it was, like, just everybody was always talking about dieting this diet, that diet, whatever. But, like, there was that, you know, maybe like you broke part of your diet. Maybe you're not supposed to eat carbs. You had a little bit of carbs, and then you just say, you know what, fuck it, and you go have a big ice cream and a bowl of chips, and you know what I mean? Like, because you made the one mistake, then you just go and you just make a big giant mistake.
Right.
And I think that the same thing, like in this situation, like,
right.
Obviously what you did was wrong. You should have paid your debts. And because you didn't, and when the guy confronted you, you fought him on it instead of actually paying him back. Now your friend is dead, and now you have that guilt on you. But he was already, you know, like making this big lifestyle change to not rely on the drugs and everything that he was doing to get him by. And now he has this giant ball of guilt. Reality is there. Like, now he has to face the death of his friend that he had something to do with.
Yeah. And
he has to face it sober. So obviously, when he goes to the church and he doesn't hear anything from God, then he's back out on the streets, and, you know, the monkey on his back is always calling him, you know? So the homie's having a hard time. It's a very hard night. It's a very, very hard night.
Good point. I've walked the stages of music played. They knew every word, but they never heard, for they never changed. And that line is interesting, because I think that's a lot of things that artists go through, is that people are saying, this was Rivers of Nihil, whatever, had that song where at the end of the song, he was telling the crowd to stop cheering for him. And the entire point of the song was, you guys have no idea, like, what's behind this and what it took me to get to, you know, so stop cheering, because you're not getting it. Mm-hmm. So that line right there, like, they knew every word, but they never really heard. That's a crazy line, because he's dealing with all this shit. And notice, it's really funny, because he says, because they never changed. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, he needs to change. Mm-hmm. You need to change, bro. Yeah. You're the one that just got your friend killed. The audience doesn't need to fucking change. You do. But I understand the sentiment, though, because, like, a lot of us are like this. Like, we think the problem is always outside. It's always other people. And, you know, politicians are really good at getting that trait in human beings, where it's always other people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, we need to change. Mm-hmm. You know? And this is, like, so clear to me because of what we do now, and being able to be welcomed by the LGBT community. And I am so different now. I needed to change. My mindset needed to change. My level of empathy needed to change. I needed to change. But our friends weren't saying, you need to change, you need to change. They were just patiently walking you through and making themselves available and things like that. My point is, like, a lot of us are like this. Like, we think everybody needs to change. Of course, everybody needs to change because none of us have arrived yet. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the number one person that needs to change is the person in the mirror. And we're always looking at other people to change things and not realizing that we have, you know, but which is one of the things I really admire about what you've been doing recently with, you know, the active imagination stuff, because to me, that is looking at yourself in the mirror from all the possible different angles, you know, and I don't want to lose people because, you know, it's a very niche sort of idea, Jungian active imagination, but I really admire your ability to go out there and consistently confront that because I know like how difficult that is. But when people are truly serious about changing, they end up doing radical things like the things that you're doing.
Thank you for that.
And as long as you see people like always pointing at other people, you know, like you know, it was some crazy thing on the Supreme Court where they voted like 157 Republicans voted against codifying marriage for gay people. And so I shot a video and somebody kept saying, why do you keep saying we? You're not like those people, you know, the evangelicals. I said, yeah, but they're still my people. So like instinctually, I'm always going to like say, yeah, those are our folks. And because of that, all of us are responsible. Because I'm so big on personal accountability, but how do you marry your own personal responsibility to change with also the understanding of collectivism that I have, that you cannot function in the world individually completely. You function in the context of a collective.
Yep.
And you can say relationship, but I don't care what you call it. A family is a collective of people that all have the same last name. Like that tells you something. Like your first name is your individuality and then your last name is your community.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got these, my point in all that is to say, if we were more focused on where we need to change, and I understand a lot of people look at it like false guilt, self-blame, that type of thing. But if you look at it like I'm the one that most needs to change. So if you look at your music, if music is your vehicle of tapping into that world, then that it needs to change you more than it changes everybody else. Like whatever your thing is,
Right.
It needs to change you more than it changes other people. And if your focus is on, well, it's not changing other people, then I think you're missing it. I think the people that change the most people are the people that change the most themselves. Because
I agree with that.
Though there's a million people that's pointing out and saying this is wrong, there's very few people that are saying here's where I'm wrong and this is where I need to go. This is how we need to get there. And so anyway.
Yeah, I think that part of that is because if you don't do the work for yourself, then there's steps that you miss. So if you are never taking a shower, but you believe that people should be clean, and then all of a sudden you have to explain to somebody how to take a shower and they've never had a shower before, then you're going to miss a bunch of really obvious steps. So I think that, you know.
He was on the way to the show.
Damn.
When he died. They were all waiting to go on. Can you imagine?
Oh, God.
That's one where we got to have that conversation. That's just so cruel. Like I said, do I believe God works all things for the good of those who love them and call according to his purpose? I believe that 100%. I just need to know how the fuck that works in this situation.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that, you know, like it doesn't affect me like that. It does, but when you think about how big their crowd must have been, and that got announced obviously at that thing, how many people do you think in that crowd were people that would drink and drive? How many people were affected by what happened because they were waiting for the show to start and they had to feel that feeling of now the show will never start because somebody chose to drink and drive? So how many lives were saved as a result of that one? I mean, there's just, and that's just one angle of the many angles. And I'm not saying that fixes everything. I'm just saying that there are things like, if you look at all like why the negatives or it doesn't make sense and you just focus on that, it's never going to make sense. But when you have to live something out and you have to see how, like, I went through multiple things in my life that were really horrible and that I wouldn't wish on anybody. But when I'm in these, you know, different forums with these girls and they're talking about things that they've been through, and I know from experience how terrible that is, even though I didn't experience it the same way as them, and I'm able to say, hey, and say different things to them, like, I see the value in what I went through. And that is extremely valuable to me, to be able to help somebody else and to say something to that person that maybe I wish that somebody would have said to me in that moment. Or,
Yeah.
you know, there was a lot of stuff that when I was going through, you said a lot of things that you probably don't even remember, but were so significant to me in that time of pain. Like, they were just things that you would say on the regular when somebody gets into those situations. But those were super meaningful things to me that now I'm able to say those things. And if you would have taught me those things, I wouldn't remember them to say to those girls in those situations. But because I went through it, I felt the pain of it, and then I felt the healing of the words that you were saying, then I'm able to apply that to somebody else. So I just think that there's so much that we don't see, there's so much we don't know. And, you know, I believe that God is going to do what he said he's going to do, which is he's going to work all things out for the good. So we might not understand all of it and we can't see the end of all things. But he's gonna work it out. And I think that when it's all over, it's gonna make sense to us. Right now, no, it doesn't always make sense. But, you know, I guarantee a lot of lives were saved from that.
No, I see that. I think that's valid. I mean, obviously, you know, there was a Christmas Eve where 6 people ended up being killed in a car accident, and it was my folks, but it was my folks' fault. Not my parents, but people I was hanging around with. It was their fault. And they killed 2 innocent people and their dog, along with all their other friends. And yeah, man, like, if they could have heard that story, you know, who knows? Maybe, yeah, no. That makes a lot of sense. Rest in peace to the homie. Yeah, man, I think this is a good place to, like, park the because we got part 2 coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
A lot of deep discussions, you know, happening on this one. Metal Adventures actually got to meet the big homie Chris. That's pretty badass.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Metal Adventures. I don't know if he's got a YouTube channel, but shout out to Metal Adventures' YouTube channel if he has one.
Hey, what's up, Danny?
Hey, Danny Lee, OGT in the house. Yeah. Really good song selection. Definitely a little bit of downer, but we can't be afraid of negative emotions.
Yeah,
okay?
but I don't see.
So it's not a downer. I'm saying, like, I'm a little down. I don't want people to, like, they're good songs. It's just like, it's a hard thing to wrestle with. And I hate, you know, the fact that they were, you know, playing rock star shit when they were kids, and they fucking made it, and then to have to hear that, man, that's I hate when people have to feel like that, man. Like, that hurts.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%.
But I hear you. Yeah.
I think that I do feel the heaviness of it in some instances, but I also feel like I'm really, really loving the journey of it, because I feel like it's the this is such a weird analogy, but you remember how that game where you'd be like, okay, you have to teach somebody how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and there was so many steps in between that you didn't realize that you needed to say because you go so much off instinct.
Yeah.
Well, to me, this album, it keeps hitting the stuff in between that we don't normally hear about, and he's really getting down into the detail of, him stopping at the church, and then after that, not hearing it, because you don't always hear something. You don't always get your answers when you go to pray. Prayer, it's not a magic trick. It doesn't get us instantly what we want. Sometimes the answers come. Sometimes shit gets real clear, and sometimes it's not. And just like hearing like, okay, this is real. That's raw. When you're in that situation, and then all of a sudden you're in this, and now, you don't have any answers. You went to he did the right thing. He went to the church. You know what I mean? He tried to pray. He didn't hear anything. Then he ends up out on the street. It's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I just appreciate the levels of detail that we're getting into, and the conversations that are coming out of it, I think, are not just all dark either. So I think it's been a really interesting stream. Like, it's had it took on a thing of its own.
Holy shit.
What?
Okay. This is a guy that killed him. Okay. He did like 10 years for vehicular manslaughter. And then again, arrested September 17, 2013 for the same shit. Driving with license canceled, suspended, or revoked.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
This guy. This guy.
He wasn't drinking at that point. He was just, they revoked his license and he was still driving.
Unbelievable.
He was a teacher?
He was a teacher. The guy that did this, he was a teacher.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it needs to be really serious. I would have thrown the books at him for that. Driving without a license. You were not supposed to be on the road. I would have given him another friggin' 10 years for that.
He went off to be a teacher. Like, he went on with his life, got out of jail, and became a teacher. Yeah, I'm going to be obsessing about this guy for a very long time, because I'm just trying to like make some connection to some sort of meaning, because it just looks like this guy hasn't learned from anything at all. Anyway, holy shit.
He might not have been the student in that situation.
Huh?
He might not have been the target student in that situation.
Yeah. What a deep freaking band. Holy shit. Tomorrow, guys, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This song was a 9.8 for me. This band is this album, consistently top to finish, is one of the most lyrically dense, sonically dense. There's a lot of things to pick apart with this band, because that singer's so dynamic. Like, I know we just spent a bunch of time boo-hooing about the guitarist. That's because I'm a guitarist. But that singer, he's unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
And, people keep using the word underrated.
Yeah.
For this band, 100%. This band is absolutely... People should be... This singer, I don't even know the guy's name, but people should be talking about him. I mean, we'll have to hear more songs. Maybe he just got lucky on this record.
Well, remember,
but I doubt
he said the first half of the record has like this really theatrical orchestra sound to it.
Right.
And then the second half is not going to be like that. So I'm like loving the first half of it so much that I'm like, what is going to be the second half? Are we still going to think that this is amazing?
Yeah,
or does that,
it's just
change a lot?
the different places where this guy goes sonically with his voice. Like, on the one hand, he's just grimy and gutter, and then the next thing, it's smooth as butter, and then it's technically sound, and he's hitting notes, and that singer, like I said, I've never heard of this guy as a singer. Like, people should be raving about this dude. Like, there's
definitely underrated.
That guy is a problem. That singer is a real fucking problem, that guy. So... yeah, I'm very, very excited. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. I gave this a 9.8. What'd you give this song?
And 9.8 as well.
Really, really, really good song. Really, really good song.
Middle Earth gave
my
scores
Middle Earth
basically
gave it a 10.
9.8 except for the one song.
Thank you guys for hanging out and having this discussion with us and helping us think this shit through together. I really, really love this community. It's nights like this. Like, you get the medal, you get the friendship with the community.
But tonight felt like therapy.
It did, and then Mojo was like, "Damn, I wish Middle Earth was here." So I'm like, "Yo, Middle Earth!" I was able to text him. I got Amy in here. It's just like, this is what it's about. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. Okay. Thanks, guys. We will see you guys. Same back time, same back channel tomorrow. Mojo stream. Freaking Middle Earth. Middle Earth isn't involved in the stream. I just want to say that's my buddy. And this band right here, guys, and this vocalist and this guitarist, rest in peace. I promise you guys, I won't be a downer tomorrow. I'll be able to reconcile myself to the big homie's death, and then I'll be in a more chipper mood, inshallah. Okay, much love to you guys. Vin out.
Sori out.
Go.